There might be a squad, but thankfully the DCEU hasn't committed suicide just yet. Hello and welcome to Screen Rant. Warner Brothers has had some difficulties and they spent a few years trying to find their way with the DCEU. And while the Suicide Squad isn't exactly the foundation of a brand new shared DC universe, it does help set some guidelines for what we can expect from DC films going forward. I'm Greg Elliott and here's how we think the Suicide Squad represents a whole new DCEU.
Y'all jokers must be crazy.
So sure, since Justice League, Warner Brothers has continued putting out movies the whole time, but the leadership of both WB and DC Films has changed hands a few times, and movies like Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, and Wonder Woman 1984 all either started development before Justice League came out, or shortly after Jeff Johns stepped down as DC's chief creative officer in 2018. Even the Suicide Squad technically started development before Justice League, but it had so many script overhauls and director changes that what we ended up getting is much more a product of the current administration than anything else. And after spending so much time waffling between total reboots, soft reboots, or just throwing continuity out altogether, it seems to represent what WB now wants from the DCEU.
Now, if you kill me, Martha dies. And if you fly away, Martha also dies. But if you kill the Bat, Martha lives.
One of the biggest criticisms of the Zack Snyder era was the use of humor, or more specifically, the lack of it, and just an overall darker tone. At one point, there was actually a rumor that DC had a straight-up no-jokes policy, but Snyder has since said some of his biggest fights on Justice League was over their desire to inject more levity and more humor. And nearly every DC movie since then, with the exception of the non-canon Joker, has gone in a lighter direction, and it looks like the Suicide Squad might finally be what they were asking for. It's still very R-rated, but even if you like the darker stuff, you can't deny that James Gunn has delivered on the lighter and funnier vibe.
And we're all gonna die.
I hope so.
But it's not that the DCEU is completely separate from the Snyderverse. It's still connected. The Suicide Squad had a bunch of returning characters, and while not showing him, does reference Superman, so we can all just imagine that it was Henry Cavill who got shot by that kryptonite bullet. But for all of the hubbub about this film being a reboot or a remake or a sequel, it seems that WB doesn't really want to burn past films to the ground. They just don't really want you to think about it too much. So what that means for movies like The Flash, which has Ezra Miller and Ben Affleck coming back, is still yet to be decided. Like Marvel, DC seems to be jumping headfirst into the whole multiverse thing, which basically throws any definitions of canon and continuity out the window. But it's gonna be hard to outright ignore movies like Batman v Superman or either version of Justice League when we see Batman and Flash together on screen again.
Stop right there. I'm in.
You are?
Yeah, I need friends.
So you might not think of the Suicide Squad as the beginning of a whole new era, but you know what? That's okay. It's not like the Snyderverse needed to be destroyed to move forward, but if there's one thing that the Suicide Squad did bring to the DCEU is hopefully that WB may finally give more directors the freedom that they want, something people like Snyder, David Ayer, and Kathy Yan didn't exactly have. If the DCEU's future is truly filmmaker-driven, with less studio meddling, we'll hopefully continue to get more authentic films that truly match the content. Granted, until this pandemic and the whole box office get themselves sorted, WB might be hesitant to throw money at films like they have in the past, but let's just hope that we see more DC films with reviews like this in the future. We'll be here to keep you posted on all things DC in the meantime, so keep checking back with Screen Rant to get your fix on all things superhero. So until next time, I'm Greg Elliott, thank you for watching, and I'm out. Peace.